It looks like a baleen whale with a stegosaurus head on the end of its nose.
But then it's really, really tall. I mean, that's the other part.
Give it a thagomizer.
Like a long neck from Horizon.
Mother, what's a long neck? A tall neck, you mean?
Or, well, yeah.
Long neck from Land Before Time, tall neck from Horizon.
Yeah, well, I have kids.
Okay, scoreboard, geez.
It wasn't really so much a scoreboard thing as much as I'm losing part of my memory.
Yeah, that's not kids doing that to you. That's age. We're old.
No, kids help.
Kids definitely accelerate the process for
100% they help.
Also, at least for my brother, the hair changing color occurred rapidly after having kids.
I don't know. My brother was losing his hair before he had kids. Then
No,
magically it came back after.
Hair changing color. Like he went gray fairly quickly.
Yeah, I beat my dad on that score. My dad was like Steve Martin.
So like he went white hair, like
yeah, he was
20s.
He became black.
I knew him.
Yeah, my dad was my dad was bald as long as I've known him.
That was the weirdest thing when my grandfather died, because I had never seen him with any hair, and I saw pictures of him
older pictures
for the first time. Which, like, he was bald in his wedding photos. So,
wow.
You want to get your mind blown? Look up a picture of Patrick Stewart with hair.
You've shown it to me before.
Oh, what?
He looks like Joseph Smith.
Oh, what? What is this?
Am I wrong?
The outfit that I found him in certainly helps too.
Exactly. Absolutely, and that's yeah.
But no, it's the weirdest thing.
Mind blowing to realize that Will Wheaton is now older than Patrick Stewart was in season 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Patrick Stewart has always looked like he was 60 years old, though. Him and Doc Brown. Why am I blanking on his name? Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd.
Back to the Future like confuses the heck out of me, and I'm like seeing him like, wait, he only looks like a little older, and I was like, what?
Well, and that's the joke in the second one where he pulls off the supposed mask and he looks identical.
My favorite was it's a John Mulaney joke where he's talking about how pitching Back to the Future back in the day must have been really weird. He's like, it's a great film, but it's really weird to explain to executives. But at one point, he's like, his friend, this teenager, he's friends with a disgraced nuclear physicist. Okay, what's he like? He's either like 35 or 70.
Sorry, I just got to say the video that was just on screen always makes me think of Mr. DNA.
It's definitely what they're going for.
That was a great couple's costume from Abbott Elementary.
I never watched it.
It's a fun show.
What's the costume?
Were they the two helixes?
Yes, they were the two parts of the Mr. DNA.
Dang.
Oh, okay.
That takes work.
Two helices, yeah.
That was creative. I enjoyed it, and of course, everyone else is like, "Oh, I don't get it," like the kids, because they're Zoomers.
Sounds like you need to fix that.
Well, there's another Jurassic Park movie coming out, so I think Mr. DNA features.
No, there's another Jurassic World movie coming out, but not the same.
They don't have Mr. DNA in it. It's not a Jurassic Park film.
We go. I mean, one could argue it's not based on a Michael Crichton novel, but he's been dead for a while, so that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
In all reality,
I think only the first one had Mr. DNA,
and
that's a fair statement.
And I'm covered.
That's a fair statement.
No, it falls under the same thing as Ghostbusters, where it's like the first film is so good, they keep trying to make it again, and there's just
But,
like even
in
the
that
ones that
bottle.
have been like okay, it's nowhere close.
Oh, wait, Lizzie said that was it the first Jurassic World movie?
Was
Yeah,
he?
like I said, it did have Mr. DNA.
Oh, that vaguely sounds familiar.
I don't
Was it,
remember
Was it
this.
in the visitor center?
Yeah, like a background, like Easter eggy kind of thing. Like, I didn't catch it.
Gotcha. Yeah, no,
Lizzie would be the one to ask. She loves all the Jurassic Parks, the books, the
She's
movies,
got
all of
all the Jurassics.
All right,
all the
well,
Jurassics.
we need to get started because we only got an hour. So I will get us started. Here we go. I had heard from one Lunisar about this game called Satisfactory that he loved a lot, but it wasn't until Baggins started playing it that I saw it. And I saw what the gameplay loop was, and I learned to fear this thing because I knew if I ever played this game, it would be the downfall of all my productivity. And so I've assembled my dealers here so that they can extol its virtues.
First hit is free.
But yeah, so that's all I got. I'm probably gonna be pretty quiet this episode. All I know is that from watching Baggins, there's a giraffe thing that I kept trying to get him to kill, and you are a Captain Planet villain, and that definitely sounds like gameplay I'd enjoy.
Also, the birds have horrifying beaks.
The flower birds.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. They open up like a flower petal.
It's like the Demogorgons from
Things.
Stranger Things.
The Demogorgons with better PR. But yeah, so I don't really have anything to add for this one. I just we for a deep dive, I was trying to think of games that we haven't covered, and I was just trying to think of games that everyone has played, and then I'm like, wait, I know Lunisar has sunk like a bazillion hours into this.
The most recent, newest ones that we're deep diving.
This game is like absolute crack, and I didn't even go nearly as deep into it as some people. All I can say is I started playing around and felt like I was building a decent factory, and then I went and saw Lunisar's factory, and I looked around and I was like,
then you saw the fact that Lunisar has built a literal halo.
I was like, no, Lunisar basically is NASA building out like advanced factory, like advanced mechanics and stuff, and I'm playing with Tinker Toys.
What is it that they say, Louis? The first 100 hours is the tutorial, I think.
No, the first 300's tutorial.
Oh man,
that I never got through the tutorial because I think I'm at like 160 or 170.
Well, I mean, granted, I started over with 1.0 when it.
You run
I played it. Yes, I played in early access. I'm trying to think. I started playing with version. I want to say like version 3 and on. I played, so I saw many of the changes as they went in. And playing the 1.0 mode, it did kind of feel like playing in easy mode because the
Shut up, man.
Well, the Mercer spheres and the addition of the Mercer spheres and the summer sloops, a use for them.
Dimensional depots
is I mean it's like kind of like how we talk about Minecraft, how that was in alpha, where it's like I couldn't take damage, so easy mode. But...
Except that alpha, like playing Minecraft in alpha early beta, was like it got harder as they added it because suddenly you could take damage.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this game got. I mean, the full version was a lot easier because then I didn't have to hoof it back to get supplies, and I didn't have to make train stations just to carry supplies from one base to another, so I wouldn't have to go back, from base to base. The fact that I could just shove everything into Dimensional Depot and pull it out from wherever.
Love the Dimensional Depot.
Yeah, the Dimensional Depot. I'm like, holy cow, this is easy mode, and it's wonderful. So it's like
it took me far longer than I care to admit to actually start using that. But yes,
but so for
That's why, like,
yeah.
it only took me
Question:
300
What's a
hours to
dimensional
get as far as I
depot?
got at
I was
700.
going to say, for Splice and the people who haven't played this game, so the Dimensional Depot is basically something that you unlock where you can take items, and at first it just starts off with a single stack. You can store a stack of them in the cloud, essentially, and then download them directly to your inventory or build directly from this dimension, this pocket dimension that you're just storing stuff in. And then as the game goes on, you can upgrade it to upload things to it faster or to hold more stacks of each item. And it's not like you can have, it's not like there's 50 stacks of storage space. It's like there's one stack of storage space for every single thing you can upload to it.
So think of Minecraft. They kind of did something similar. So, you guys have probably played a lot of people listening, you've played Minecraft. Mm-hmm. So normally you have to collect all the materials, craft it, and you store it, and you have your whole storage system, right? Mm-hmm. And then in Minecraft, they added the nether chest, right? Mm-hmm. And when you put it in a nether chest, you could get it from a different nether chest, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way the Dimensional Depot works, but it's way cooler than the nether chest, because one, you can open it from wherever you are, mm-hmm. and you can have things feeding to it automatically.
Yeah.
So if your factory is building an item you need, as long as you feed it into a Dimensional Depot, it'll constantly refill it even as you use it, no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm. So it's like combining the nether chest with a lot of the automation features they have.
Yes.
Yes, it's an auto-filling nether chest that you can access from wherever you are.
It works similarly to the material tab in banks on WoW when you're crafting.
And so, yeah. Whereas, the first 700 hours I put into this game, I didn't have that. Well, I had to hoof it or have trains.
Oh, yes.
And so it's like I had to fill up a bunch of things. Like I had 2 different areas before that I would have all these sorters that would sort all the different materials I built and mm-hmm. would need to build with. And I'd fill up one depot area, and then I'd have the overflow go into trains to go to the next area and fill up depots there. And then I had this whole building that's just full of storage containers that are being filled by trains to get what I want. Otherwise, I'd have to go, to factory pieces everywhere and everywhere. Whereas now I just put up a Dimensional Depot on the output of every factory that always is feeding into it, and I have access to everything no matter where I am. So it saved... Oh, goodness. I mean, like I said, I was able to get further in 300 hours than I did 700 hours thanks to Dimensional Depots. I mean, granted, also, I knew what I was doing. That makes a difference, too. But
knowledge does help.
I've seen tons and tons of videos, of pre 1.0, where people were, posting plans for how to build a good storage depot, central storage depot.
Yep. That's exactly what I was referring to before, and using signage to know where everything is, and all of the mall, as people would call it, and you have to put in all these sorting materials, so you just feed things in belt and have all these smart splitters that are filtering out specific items. I didn't do any of that thanks to Dimensional Depots on my new save file. It just mm-hmm. changed the way I played in every way.
Yeah, the Dimensional Depots, the one thing is there is still an upper limit, because I think that the highest you can get, was it 7 stacks?
Oh, no, I think it was, I want to say 5 stacks. And
5 stacks.
But yes, if you're building a ton, you go through it real fast and you still have to hoof it. And
so typically what I would do is I'd build a double high, or a single or a double high storage crate, the giant containers, and then put the Dimensional Depot on top and then feed them through. So I technically have, more available. It'd just have to upload to the cloud after, because you sort of have a buffer system, so that if you do build something that blows through everything that you've got, then you can still refill it. pretty quickly.
Well, I'd always just put a splitter, like, the output of my factory, I'd put a splitter down and feed it into Dimensional Depot, and the other one feeding into the big storage container. So that basically kept my Dimensional Depot always full, so it would just upload as fast as it could while it would flow at the rest top speed into the rest.
And that's what, kind of the same thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, but my goodness, this game. So I guess my history of this game is probably similar to the history of the people who designed this game, because it didn't start for them with, this idea, right? They it was actually. Do you guys know Dane, right? I guess. Well,
yes.
Of course you do. I mean, it's Amy's husband from
our podcast, yes,
from your Sandersonian podcast. But he was the one who introduced me to the game that inspired this game, which was Factorio. And Factorio was the first game that's kind of this play style.
First ever?
I mean, there were. I mean, I guess people could say that
first ever. I mean,
this kind of stuff like SimCity, and I mean, I guess there's things like SimCity and Civilization, but this is a bit different, I don't know. But
you could argue it's got it's similar to RTSs, or you're collecting resources and then you're.
I have seen people call it an RTS. I don't know. I don't.
Factorio definitely
really
has
not
time elements to it than.
I mean, yes, RTS has definitely inspired
a little
it.
bit of tower defense going on.
Well, tower defense, that's worth talking about. I do, that is a topic we're talking about as well with this, but something
Dane was completely absent from Satisfactory, which I'm kind of grateful for. I didn't really care much for the fighting dudes.
Yeah, you could turn it off in Factorio, but the designers of Satisfactory, their idea is, hey, let's make a 3D Factorio, because this is a game where you're on an alien planet, you have to collect resources and craft them, refine them and craft them into all the various items that you need. But yeah, in this one you do have to defend your base from monsters, whereas in Satisfactory your buildings don't take damage. There are monsters that will attack you, but they don't. When you've put down buildings, they don't spawn anymore. They can't hurt your buildings; they can only attack you. And they're not seeking to attack you. They only aggro when you come near them. So they did make that. There's actually quite a few things that Satisfactory does different than Factorio. Because like in Factorio, your tech tree, you have to make specific science packs that have a fixed recipe, and so to get everything in, there's like 5 different types of packs, science packs that you have to make.
So the more manual research tree that the man does.
And so it's like once you start building one science pack, you can slowly unlock everything in that one thing. Mm-hmm. And you just go, all your materials just dumping into that one thing. And whereas Satisfactory said, well, that's kind of weird, really. Like, what tech tree is, making these science packs that suddenly give you the ability to unlock stuff? That's kind of silly. So let's make your tech tree just, hey, what are you trying to develop? What materials would you need to develop that? And we'll make fixed amounts. So, it's like, okay, to open up this tier, you want to get steel. Well, in order to get steel, you're going to need to, supply this iron and, things that you would need to build the stuff to make a foundry. So I think the progression was handled much better in Satisfactory than Factorio, but I still want to bring up Factorio because it is the game that
definitely
absolutely
DNA.
You can't talk about Satisfactory without talking about Factorio.
Yeah, even the creators of Satisfactory say this was our inspiration, was Factorio. it's just impossible to not bring it up. But Dane was the one who said, "Oh, this game is it's designed for an engineer to, it's
Absolutely.
just scratch every itch an engineer could possibly have, and all the logistics and the building and the crafting and the automation."
Hence the thumbnail.
And that's exactly what they were going for in Satisfactory.
Which is why I fell off of the wagon eventually.
Yeah, but
I loved it, and I got fairly deep. I got through phase 3, and then it was just like, okay, now we're crossing into a level of automation that just makes my brain hurt.
Oh, you were just to petroleum. That's where things get fun.
I was
like I said, these are the dealers.
Now, I had unlocked nuclear, and that's about.
Fortunately, we are high on our own supply.
Yeah. No, I tried. Honestly, the thing that kind of knocked me off of it was trying to figure out trains, just because I hate dealing with terrain and stuff like, and it just became very. It just became a roadblock for me.
There's a curve. There's a curve to doing trains.
And it got very steep.
Well, the thing about trains is trains are incredibly complicated in Factorio, and they tried to simplify it in Satisfactory. In fact, I did trains wrong for a long time in Satisfactory because I assumed it was done the same way as Factorio.
I don't even know what Factorio, because I only ever played the demo.
So you know how in Satisfactory there's the block signals and the path signals.
That's okay. Yes, here we go.
And the way they designed them was they wanted to simplify the way Factorio worked, because they had in Factorio there's block signals and there's chain signals, right? And they made paths a bit smarter, so you only need 3 path signals, where in Factorio you needed 6 chain signals. So,
well, and Satisfactory doesn't update paths real time. It pretty much the train defines its path, and then that's just the path it takes.
Yeah, whereas in fact, and that actually is its downside. So
it's not as flexible as here I'm going to show my Transport Tycoon Deluxe type signaling, or the block and chain signaling that probably is in Factorio.
Yeah, because in Factorio you have to put you still put down like in a T junction, you still put down the 3 block signals, but you put chain signals at everywhere that the rails cross.
Yeah, you have
and so you end up putting
the
6 of them down.
And the one exiting. That's how I always
and
make it work.
Whereas in Satisfactory, to make it simpler, they're like, no, just when you come everywhere that's on the at the exit of an intersection, you put a block signal, and at the entrance you put a path signal. You don't have to worry about anything of what crosses in the intersection. We have logic that takes care of that for you. So they simplify it for the user, but the downside, as you pointed out, is that the trains are on a fixed path. They do not update in real time like they do in Factorio. Because in Factorio, if there's if there's traffic blocked one way, but there's another path available, it'll be smart enough and reroute the traffic around so it doesn't get a traffic jam.
You can make overtakings and sidings and all that kind of good stuff.
Like alternate paths, it will, but there's no alternate pathing in Satisfactory. Once you've put down a train, it says, oh, here's my path, and it never deviates from it. So even though it's easier to do for the user, it has more traffic jam possibilities.
I'll admit that I was reticent to get into the train thing, just because it was just sort of I don't know if I want to think that hard. So I limped along with trucks for a long time, and the trucks work pretty well.
The trucks work pretty well. I must admit, though. I mean, in my current save file, I don't even have a single truck. I did nothing but trains.
Once you have the trains figured out, it's kind of hard to go back, especially because you have to supply fuel. But
Yeah,
exactly.
I just had enormous conveyor belts.
And that's that's another way you can do it.
Yeah, enormous.
What is a conveyor belt if not just a flat train?
I mean, my first save file, I think I had my coal lines that were like 3 miles long, you know?
Like when I look at it, I'm like, I can't believe I made that like 4 kilometers long. You know, it's like gosh, once you get about like 1, I should be just do a truck or something.
And that's exactly what I was doing.
Like in my starting area where I just see there's just random single conveyor belts just going through the middle of a giant forest that just has coal going on it. You know?
I dragged that quartz out of the swamp all the way to the grassy start base, man.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's all that coal that's down by the like there's the grassy start base, and then to the northwest there's like a lake that's down low that's got a bunch of coal.
My power plant. Yep.
That's where I also built a power plant complex.
I built 2 full power plants there. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I built my first coal power plant not down at the lake, but at the river that feeds into the lake for some stupid reason. And I built this winding conveyor belt going up the cliff.
Up the switchbacks? Yeah.
Yeah,
so I know exactly which switchbacks you mean. Oh, I hated those.
So I gotta say, the first most satisfying part of Satisfactory run is when you first get off what I call the birdie boilers, the biomass burners.
Oh yeah,
which I heard also was a jump from up to easy mode with 1.0.
Did they not have coal generators initially?
No. I'm not talking about the biomass generators didn't have input.
Conveyor belt inputs.
Conveyor belt inputs in the.
Yeah, that's also a game changer.
Conveyor belt input definitely helps, but you still have to feed it. You still have to collect the stuff manually. Yeah,
you do, but it was massive.
The fact that you could use splitters to set, that makes a huge difference because I'm like,
it did take me longer than I care to admit to realize that I can make a constructor make logs. Oh, that's a lot better than just feeding it grass directly.
Oh yeah. Just there's a place where you drop off your leaves and wood, and then it creates the solid.
It just chunks through, and then makes the logs, and then you just
But then you'd have to pick it up and manually shove it in each one, and when you had a lot, that was a pain. But then when wait, I have conveyor belt input, so as long as I just have the output of that feeding to the conveyor belt,
I always
feeds them all.
Range anxiety, so to speak. I'm just like, oh crap, I gotta start chopping down some wood because I don't know how long I've got.
But it's like every time I've tried to play multiplayer, it's like I feel like they're just doing whatever and they're relying on me to keep feeding it, and so I just want to get coal as fast as possible so I don't have to feed it for them.
Yeah, going to the generators, beelining it. That's the way.
Oh, and that's why I just I don't know. It's part of the reason why I didn't like playing multiplayer online, even though my brother-in-law really wanted to play multiplayer online with me. But
oh man, that was my primary playthrough. Actually, was with my brother, and I had to say, the multiplayer is really well done for Satisfactory. I was very, very pleased.
But so, I guess to get back kind of, to the flow of how they came up with this. So they play Factorio, they really enjoy it, but they've already made a game that kind of, I think they were able to pull elements from. Have any of you played Sanctum?
I did. I kind of liked it. It didn't hold me, but I liked it.
Only aware of it.
Because their big thing is this was, I feel like, was Sanctum's Coffee Stain's first game?
I didn't even know it was Coffee Stain, so.
Because I feel like this was one of their first game. I think they decided, hey, we're going to do a hybrid of first-person shooter and tower defense. And so the way this game plays is there's tiles where you can build stuff. And so they already had a construct mode in the previous game that they were able to go off right here, where you know, it's a much simpler version of building than in Satisfactory. But I'm pretty sure this is where they started from, because they already had a game that did this, and this is kind of what got Coffee Stain Studios their start.
Is this like 20 teens? I don't know when this came out.
No, it came out in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's an old one.
Okay,
It was. I was playing it when we were
looking at this.
when we were at school together.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it was really cool. The concept of, this is when tower defense was really popular. I kind of feel like tower defenses aren't quite as popular anymore.
Oh, my son is still playing Bloons TD6, so it's around.
Well, my son is too. I mean, it's still around, but I don't know.
Not this style of tower defense. They do a lot. The Bloons is because that's a set path. This is a get in the way.
Because like around the same time, this is when Defense Grid: The Awakening was big.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, this one was like,
never my scene.
It's not just a tower defense; it's a first-person shooter as well. Because you build the towers, and then you shoot at the same time. And I
really
feel
liked
like
it.
And I really feel like this was the framework that that they used to build Satisfactory. Because they said this game was really successful, and it kind of gave them their start for their studio, made them some money, and then they decided, okay, we're going to make a sequel. We're going to make it better in every way than Sanctum 1, and that's how we're going to continue our studio. And so they made Sanctum 2, and it didn't sell. Like, I bought Sanctum 2, but I haven't actually played it, if I'm honest. Just because I kind of feel like Sanctum 1 filled that itch that people had, and I don't know, no one was in a rush to play Sanctum 2, even though they were, okay with the concept of it. And they were really disappointed because they invested a lot of money in it, they didn't make any return, and their studio was really hurting. And so at that point they realized, okay, we have to do, the reason why Sanctum was popular was because it was kind of new. It was kind of a gimmicky idea. It was something different and interesting. And so they said, okay, what's some stupid random gimmick we can do that people might be interested in? And that gave birth to Goat Simulator. And Goat Simulator went viral.
I still don't know. Like, all I know about Goat Simulator is that it popped up on Steam one day, and I don't know how it works or what it is, other than it became viral, as you said.
I mean, I got it on my phone because it's a really good game for that kind of thing.
I don't think they were like excited by the concept. I mean, they might have been. I mean, it was something stupid and silly, but the important thing is it made them money.
Ridiculous.
How does it work? Like, what?
I just want to point out, isn't it Goat Simulator 3?
That's pretty much all it is. Yes,
what?
There is a Goat Simulator 3 is the sequel.
Is there a Goat Simulator 2?
There is not.
Shush.
So Goat Simulator went viral. It made them money, and I guess at that point, that's when they were like, I really like this Factorio game. We now have the money. Thanks to Sanctum, we already kind of have this build system in place. Let's make our own. And they came up with Satisfactory. And Satisfactory, I think, is by far their best game. I love Satisfactory.
It is very satisfactory.
Hey, that's the name of the game.
So
thanks for explaining the jokes, Jordan. That makes it funnier.
Oh, that's why I do it.
The concept of the build and optimize and automate, that the whole gameplay loop was appealing to me. But like there are other games out there like Factorio, and I think there's a Dyson something project or whatever.
Dyson Sphere program. That was pretty fun too.
Yeah, like there are options, but what sold me is when I just watched the opening sequence with the omnicidal AI, and you know what? Like, I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for GLaDOS. Like omnicidal AI. let's go. It was that little, just that extra bit of character and personality just really just brought it all home for me. And I was just like, all right, I'm buying this thing. I'm buying it for my brother because he's cheap and I'm going to play with him.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Factorio and Dice's Fear program lacted GLaDOS. That is very true.
Yeah, and she's just sort of she's so congenial though.
I can fix her.
Oh gosh.
Oh no. In tight pants.
We finally learned Jordan's type.
Draco in tight pants.
That's straight.
I mean, one of my favorite lines, I can't remember. It's like when you're unlocking one of the milestones, and she makes this comment about like the layout of your factory is said to be a reflection upon your mind. Everything that I've learned about you has been interesting.
Now, I will admit that the fact that all my kids are playing Satisfactory, I'm like, thing is, they were playing Factorio instead. They wouldn't have, some of the strange commentary from the AI. But none of them really got as into Factorio as they did Satisfactory. Satisfactory connected with my kids in a way that Satisfactory didn't, and I don't exactly know why.
The first person thing helps, because you're immersed.
Maybe they connect with the omnicidal AI.
Or maybe the first person makes it feel closer to Minecraft, which I'm more familiar with.
I think that helps because you can clearly control. I mean, it's different from the top down kind of.
I mean, that's a good point because like people our age, grew up playing, StarCraft in the RTSs. I guess you're right on the RTSs because
that's why I felt like Factorio felt a little RTS-y.
I guess because it's got that top-down view.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess would you say? Okay, here's a question about Factorio. Do you think that feels closer to its control style to Stardew Valley or StarCraft?
See, I was thinking Factorio is to Warcraft as Satisfactory is to World of Warcraft.
Okay, I could see that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Factorio has a multiplayer. I mean, the multiplayer is the big thing that I think was also a selling feature for me.
Factorio's multiplayer is way more in depth than Satisfactory's.
Is it really? I haven't played the demo, but I thought that Satisfactory's multiplayer worked quite well.
Well, Factorio, I think there are some servers that have like 60 plus players on it.
Well, I mean, okay, it depends on what you're. I mean, I looked at this as a co-op kind of game, so
the thing I like about, and this is another thing I like about Satisfactory more than Factorio, is I feel Factorio is kind of like, I guess, with StarCraft, where your resource fields deplete over time.
Yeah, that's another big thing because you have to eventually, expand.
Yeah, and so you get to the point in Factorio. I mean, one thing that's nice about Factorio is it's a lot easier to, if you've designed a base, to copy and paste that base somewhere else. Like you can click and drag like like you're selecting multiple files on your desktop, copy and paste. You can do that in Satisfactory, in Factorio.
The blueprints are kind of supposed to be that. I'm all of
but like they're
super into them.
Well, but the blueprints are nice. I mean, that was something that was added. I mean, I played a long time without blueprints. Like I set up a giant nuclear factory without blueprints before they had blueprints, and let me tell you that I spent over 40 hours setting up that thing, whereas with blueprints much faster. But it still was a lot of work because the blueprints are tiny in comparison to what you can copy and paste in Factorio.
What you need to do.
Because in Factorio, you can just literally drag your mouse over an entire base and say, I want to stamp down this entire exact base here. And then all your little robots fly out and do it. That is not the way blueprints work in Satisfactory
you have to,
at all.
You have to select it and then plop it. And
You have to select
That's
it,
one
plop
thing.
it,
One
and
thing is
Then
tiny.
twist it. Bop
You
it.
could only, well, that's the thing. You could only I mean, the blueprints only let you, plop down like 2 or 3 buildings at a time. Well, I mean, of the simplest buildings, maybe you can get
Whatever you could
8.
fit into the little I don't know, template maker thing.
Yeah, your little template maker thing. I guess if you go vertical, you could get more buildings. But the thing is it's mostly useful for getting the belting around buildings so you don't have to do the same, splitter and belts. That's really more what it saves time on. Whereas in Factorio,
I can't wait for the vertical splitters. My gosh.
But in Factorio, you could literally copy paste the entire base, and you don't have to spend time on a blueprint thing. It's just click, drag, paste. And but at the same time in Factorio, you have to constantly be expanding because you're like, oh, I ran out of this. Oh, I ran out of this. Oh, I ran out of this. Whereas the nodes in Satisfactory are never ending. So once you've put down, okay, here's where I'm getting iron. And in fact, as time goes on, if you're able to, you're able to improve your mining equipment and even overclock your mining equipment, you get more. Like there's a limit to how much you can get per minute, but it never runs out. And I like that because it gave more permanence to your base. So you don't have to expand, because where I am in Factorio, I'm just like, oh, I'm at the end of the game. I'm just expanding just to prevent my factory from not running out, Whereas in-game and Satisfactory, you're building more to make more as opposed to just not run out of stuff. Like there's a different feeling. I mean, I guess unless you've played post-game material, I guess you don't care, but in both Factorio and Satisfactory, I did exhaust, the game as it was and kept playing afterwards. And I kind of like that progression of you're just making the factory grow, but you're not running out of materials.
I got to say, the map for Satisfactory is just enormous. I thought, when they give you options for different start locations, I was just like, oh, wow. So even after I play through this, I could do it another way. And then I realized, oh, it's all connected.
Yeah,
it's just enormous.
Connected.
Well, and
enormous.
That's one thing that's always been interesting to me. I actually kind of like it, is that it is a single map rather than this procedurally generated landscape. It's like, it's nice to actually, like, we've had so many things that are procedurally generated over the past decade or two, and it's just nice to have something that was planned and laid
intentionally,
out.
Yeah.
Well, like even in our conversation so far, we've talked about, in the starting grassy area. You can't do that. You can't say that in Factorio because it's or Minecraft.
Or Minecraft,
matter.
Yeah, because you just get whatever.
Yeah, well, it's because if you tried to build those games out, it doesn't work because it's not a bug, it's a feature. But this being handcrafted lets you do different things. Like it's just one of those. It's a design choice.
Yeah, it's a design choice, but like I think the fact that it's not procedurally generated makes it easier to kind of talk to people about different areas,
You can definitely compare and you say like, oh, hey, I use this area to set up my whatever.
And where did you set up your oil? Because it's like, I did my first oil down in the the blue purple crater. That was the first time I did oil, but now I like to go to the beaches in the west.
Yep, West Beaches. Gotta love the West Beaches.
So much power production in the West Beaches, and
the West Beaches are superior. I went to the kind of the weird, crappy rocky lands to the east.
Mm-hmm. I like to build my nuclear power out over the ocean, all the way to where, like, if you go past my nuclear power plants, you're off the map and start taking damage for being out of bounds.
Because then you don't have to worry as much about irradiating everything else.
Yep. And when I mine the uranium, I make the uranium fuel rods and I fly them in on drones.
That's how we get more nuclear power in the United States. We just got to build it off the map.
Yeah, that's the solution. It's like you don't have to worry about radiation.
It's free real estate.
I knew it.
Oh, that's right. Because Looney built his empire out over the abyss.
Oh yeah,
So-
in my new save file, like all my factory, it's over the abyss cliff on the south. Like
That was something else that I didn't realize for a while is I did not embrace verticality, even though Ada's explicitly told me to. But it really does. Like, I mean, I built Factorio style. I've just built in one level, and I was realizing like everything is so stinking spread out doing it this way.
Uh-huh.
well, it's kind of funny because you know, Splice had the whole Captain Pollution thing for this game. Not my save file. My nature's like pristine because I built out
Just
over.
built a mega city, and
I just built a mega city that's teetering over the cliff. It's more like, you know, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the one building that were built in the side of a cliff, you know, where they have to rappel down to it. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I would play it like a Captain Planet villain. That's my power fantasy.
Well,
Oh, I
the
know
reason
you
why
would.
I do it is because I don't want to. The most annoying thing is when you're building a big area, and then you get a hill that you didn't build high enough and gets in your way and
yeah,
messes
then
up what you're
your
doing.
grid's messed up, and you're like, oh.
And so when I build, I like to have like, you know, build it on stilts that are 40 feet up in the air so I don't have to deal with anything getting in my
Yeah,
way.
that was the thing. I became
And-
so like so anti putting things directly on the ground, but like at first, you know, like you're just doing whatever, and now I'm like foundations everywhere. I'm foundationing the entire map.
You always have a spaghetti factory at the beginning.
Yes, you start out with the spaghetti factory
At the
on the
beginning.
floor.
I said start. You can continue with it if you wish.
Hey, it's funny because like the way my brother and I progressed, you know, at first we were like, oh, we're gonna try and make things look really neat and organized, and then by the end, I mean, we're just like slapping down splitters and like clipping through everything like no one's business because we just gotta get it done,
That's
Oh,
how
it
it
is.
was with my conveyor belts that were crossing the entire map.
Yeah. But I don't know. The thing is making a second save file and starting over for the first game, like my approach to the entire game was completely different. Because like I started the game with a plan. And
Yeah, I definitely think I might do another playthrough when 1.1 finally drops, just for all those other neat features.
okay, I'm sick of him just mining iron. Also, this person is playing stupid. Why isn't he? Oh gosh, why
Maybe
isn't
it's
he
their
using
first time.
portable miners. It probably is his first time.
Floormaster,
He's
use
playing
guns.
like I played at first, okay? So
Yeah.
please tread lightly.
I mean,
You still use portable miners, right?
I didn't understand how to make them for the first, good hour and a half.
You
of the
change
gameplay.
Okay.
the whole
Okay.
way. Oh my gosh!
I Queen We Will Rock You'd the whole time.
Oh wow. Okay.
I mean, before I started really embracing dimensional depots, I did spend a fair amount at the bench. You know, I'm just sort of like, oh, is it worth it for me to travel all the way back to the hub to pick up the stuff, or can I, from first principles, create the things that I need from a bench right here? What will take more time? Like, I think it'll take less time to just build them here from first principles. It probably wasn't, but I did it anyway.
Well, and that was the reason that I did that for so long is I couldn't figure out how to build the portable miners because I didn't realize, there's
It
a
was
second
an
kind of
equipment
bench that you have
Yeah,
to
the
build.
workshop.
And so, like, I had a workshop, but I never went to it. I didn't know what it was. And then when finally I went and I
dear.
looked at it, I was like, oh, this is where I build. I think I finally figured it out when I
You
researched
literally cannot build miners without them.
Well, didn't the onboarding have
That's
you
right.
build one though?
It may have, but you got to realize the way my ADHD works, I probably
You
did.
listen to Ada.
I probably did that and then set the game aside for like a week, came back and
Oh,
forgot
no.
everything.
Oh.
And
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See, and
Yeah.
I got sidetracked by the whole Fixmas event because that was right when I bought it. Is when
see,
they
and
were
I joined
doing it.
right after Fixmas. Not right, but shortly after.
It really kind of messed me up because I'm like, oh, I got to do these things too, and then I realized like, I don't have time for that. I had to make the real factory.
Again, for Splice and people who aren't aware, Fixmas was just an in-game event where they had all sorts of little.
Oh, they've done it every year. They've done it like 4 times. It's like, every year.
They literally fall from the sky. You're like, oh my gosh, I gotta collect this thing. Spoiler alert: you do not need to collect these things, but.
Well,
in fact, it's annoyed at you.
It reminds me of the dumb Easter egg hunt in Animal Crossing.
Oh gosh, yes.
The first event that they came out with that just ticked everyone off with that devil bunny.
The poor bunny. He didn't deserve the hate he got.
He had soulless eyes.
We were all in COVID lockdown. It was a rough time, okay?
No, Fixmas was fun.
The bunny got what it deserved.
Jeez.
And I always, in both my save files, I put the giant Christmas tree on top of the giant arch in the grassy area.
So you actually got far enough to build it. I started realizing, like, oh man, I have to stand up like actual like factories. And like, nah, I'm still trying to make screws. I'm in screw hell.
Oh, there's the giant arch.
This is a family-friendly channel.
Screw heck.
But whose family?
I'm using the vernacular that my brother and I did.
Yes.
I was more focused on the first word, actually.
Speaking of screws, after my first playthrough where I kind of understand the mechanics of the game, and this is another thing that Satisfactory has that is completely absent in both Factorio and Dyson Sphere program, is the alternate recipes.
Yes, let's go.
Oh, yes.
Alternate recipes. It changes everything. About
Explain.
To realize how important those are.
The hard drives that you collect from the crashed pods.
Mm-hmm.
That's what unlocks the alternate recipes, and oh my gosh, you need to do them like ASAP.
Well, and as many as you can.
As many as you can, and also, it affects the way I played, because what recipes you can get unlocked. So to kind of discuss what they are, so in all the games, there's a recipe. So you for example, to make screws, you have iron. You have iron ore. You put it through a smelter to get iron ingots. And then you take the iron ingots, and then you make iron rods in a constructor.
Rods.
And then you go through another constructor where you construct them into screws. So one ingot makes 1 rod, and 1 rod makes 4 screws. Mm-hmm. But there's an alternate recipe out there. Well, there's several alternate recipes.
Several, actually, yeah.
But one of the earlier ones you can get is called cast iron screws, which lets you go from 1 ingot directly to 4 screws. It just completely skips the iron rod step. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, this greatly simplifies me getting screws. And it can make them faster than you could make them, and
even belt them because you don't have the high level belts.
Well, like it produces them faster than going from iron rods to
yes, certainly
screws. So, like, not only does it skip the step, but it actually takes less time per screw to produce.
Fewer resources, less power with the constructors to make them. It's all good.
I mean, it's the same amount of resources in that case, but it's less power.
Well, I mean, sure, but yeah. Fewer buildings that alone can...
Fewer buildings, less power. Like, there's nothing but upside to it. Now, not every alternate recipe is built the same, but the fact that you can... There's this element of the more you explore, the more of these hard drives you can find, which can dramatically change the way you build your factory.
And you can
simplify it.
Go without screws.
Or, there's even enough things to not even need screws if you want to.
And exploration in this game is a whole other thing that I feel like they've done a really good job with, which with this kind of game isn't necessarily the case.
Well, yeah, because like in Factorio, once you have... everything you need, the only reason to explore is when your resources run out, like you don't have the resources. Whereas this one, you're like, oh, I want to find more hard drives. I want to find more Mercer spheres. I want to find more of this. There are unique resources that give you unique benefits that are essentially permanent.
And I like the way the scanner
like
is set up as well.
The overclocking, the ability to overclock buildings is so fantastic.
What does that do?
Yeah.
Basically, you can speed up. For higher energy costs, you can speed up production.
Yeah, any constructor, miner, whatever, you can speed it up. Even your power output generators, like your coal and your oil, you can boost.
So Factorio had overclock capability as well. Not the same, but it had that capability as well. But still, the way the alternate recipes go, the second time I played, I knew what alternate recipes I wanted, right? And when you unlock them, it's random what you get. Mm-hmm. But there's a pool that it's coming out of. So
it's based on the tier, I think, that you've unlocked. It's based on the
tier. So, the first time you play, you're like, oh, I can unlock this tier. I'm going to unlock it right now. But when you know what alternate recipes you want, you're like,
I don't like that yet. I don't want to get those other useless recipes.
It's like, I want this recipe. Therefore, I am going to not progress my tier. I'm not going to progress my tech tree until I get the recipe I want, while there's a higher probability of me getting it. Which they in 1.0 actually made this a lot easier too, because it allows you to bank a bunch. Because before, when you do a hard drive, you'd finish the hard drive and it'd give you an option of 3 different alternate recipes to select one of. And you had to select one of those 3 before you could
do another one.
Use the MAM at all. Not just anything, just use the MAM. Like, you open the MAM, choose your alternate recipe. Mm-hmm. And so to get the one you want, you just had to, be lucky. And, and so I get to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to progress my tree until I get this alternate recipe, because I know, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. But now you can bank several where it's like you get a choice of 2, but you could just not select one, and those 2 are removed from the pool.
You can block those out, yes.
Yeah.
And so in this new 1.0, it's like, wait, I can just go just explore the map early on and just collect as many of these as I need, so I can I can remove all the recipes I don't want from the pool, but and make it more likely to get the ones I do want, without actually learning the recipes I don't want, and take out 2 at a time instead of 1. And that also made it easy mode to a degree, but it's a nice welcome change. So, if
easy mode gets a bad rap.
So once I get oil, it's like, okay, I've unlocked oil, but I'm not going to do anything else until I've unlocked several recipes, right? Because with oil, you need the diluted fuel, you want the recycled plastic, you want the recycled rubber.
You want the heavy oil recipe too.
Diluted fuel, yeah, and heavy oil, or yeah, that's right. I said
the heavy oil residue.
Yeah, those four triple your output for each given unit of oil, and it changes the way you run oil entirely, and just the amount of output you get, it changes so much, and it gives you so many trade-offs that you have to make that you don't have to make in the other games because of it. Because sometimes you're like, okay, I want this one to decrease my power usage, or I have a lot of this. I'm willing to use this resource to use less of this one, and I don't know.
Or I do not want any silica in my alumina factory.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, my latest save file, my 1.0 save file, I'm not going to do the silica. I'm, pure aluminum, but to make up for it, I'm going to use the sloppy alumina.
The sloppy alumina all the way. I mean, it's not as efficient for bauxite, but boy.
Well, actually, if you have sloppy alumina combined with electrode, it actually gives you the same amount as if you were using silica. The same amount to where you're getting one. Well,
that's with the petroleum coke, right?
Yeah, with the petroleum coke.
I'm sorry, what is the game doing now?
Not that coke.
Okay, see, petroleum coke. It's
doing lines
of petroleum material, dude.
I don't know. You guys could be making stuff up.
No, petroleum coke is the coal that comes out of petroleum oil refinery. It's a real thing.
If you say so, man.
And it can be used in manufacturing aluminum.
You're talking to a guy who kind of did chemical engineering.
Well, yeah, I'm talking to the physicist here who apparently doesn't know basic chemistry.
Why would I learn basic chemistry? Let's go straight to advanced.
Who doesn't know advanced chemistry?
Or he's just trying to make a cheap laugh. It's definitely one of those
I was going to
things.
see if I was going to get no snap out of that, but whatever.
No.
All right.
Unfortunately,
So
we have to start ending it here because I have to pick up my mother at the airport.
There we go.
God, all the time flies on this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even get close to talking nuclear. Holy cow.
No, we didn't talk about power panic. Oh my gosh, when the power grid shuts down and the panic that ensues.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a Satisfactory 1.1 episode.
That's a good idea.
Or the terrifyingness of the stingers.
Oh,
Stingers.
Yeah, no.
To the point where they actually
Is there a time for
actually
1.1?
Okay, 1.0 actually made them much, much worse. Well, actually, I guess...
No.
Or was it 9... No, 8, where they added the different types and more monsters.
I only ever play from 1 on, so...
They actually have an arachnophobia mode so that it looks like what is it, cats, kittens?
Yeah, did they change them into cats or something? I've never turned it on.
All I know is my first quartz factory, they added so many giant stingers there.
Like in the middle of your factory?
Yeah, well, like, you know where there's the giant hole in the middle and the waterfall, and inside the cave there's the uranium. Up above it there's quartz up the cliff, and that's where I first found quartz, because that's kind of the, when you ping for quartz, that's the closest to the starting area. But right by there were not originally tons of stingers there, but there are now.
So did it ignore the no spawning within X range of power buildings, or
with update 8, I think it was update 8, the exploration update, they redid where monsters were spawning and adding that. They made it such that every monster respawned on you. So once you killed it, if it was in your base, it was gone.
Wouldn't respawn. So, but they just originally
spawned. Yes, the original spawn. So everywhere, my entire base, when 8 came out, so monsters were everywhere again. Yeah, I got infested from an update.
Ooh.
Boo.
But man, yeah, just so many hours I just listened to a podcast while building giant nuclear facilities in Satisfactory.
Well, I like the idea of a follow-up episode. I think that's a good idea, because this definitely needs more.
Much can be said about him.
There is a lot to say.
Anyway, all right. Would you guys like to promote anything, Petrivka?
No, just glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back. Lunasar.
I mean, as usual, I like to promote Lizzie, Lizzie Petrichor, but the topic being Satisfactory, and that is by far my most played game on Steam now. I'm gonna promote Satisfactory. It is one of the greatest engineering games made of all time. It is one of the best games of all time in my book.
And an update pending. I think maybe next month or so.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 1.1 is coming.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Baggins.
Cleric Obscure Expedition 33. That game is gorgeous and wonderful, and I'm in love with it right now.
French fantasy.
What?
French fantasy.
Oh, French. I thought you said crunch fantasy, and I'm like, is there a term of fantasy I wasn't aware of? All right.
This is a real thing.
Yeah, no. France is definitely a real thing. It makes it's not Montana. Anyway, I'm gonna promote Lizzie Petrichor and my own stuff. Twitch.tv/Splicestream. We're getting back into Amiibo stuff. I'm ominously posting about the return of Pro Amiibo League. It's great. Anyway, that's all I got. I gotta go pick up my mom.
Well, in that case, I think we overleveled.